So we'll move on to talking about running backs. So this is one of my favorite running backs to target, and I think that a lot of people are kind of getting kind of sick of this guy. And so it's Nyheim Hines. And the reason I look at Nyheim Hines, he reminds me a lot of Austin Eckler. And he's a guy that is a dynamic pass catching back that doesn't really see a lot of usage, but what's kind of going on? And hopefully by this time, maybe news is broken or not, but Phillip Rivers is being rumored to go to the Indianapolis Colts. So if he ends up on the Indianapolis Colts, Phillip Rivers loves targeting the running back position, and we saw it with Austin Eckler. We've seen it with Lane Tomlinson. We've seen it with Melvin Gordon. All the running backs he plays with, he targets in the passing game. And it's funny because I was thinking about this. It's basically like we always talk about how mobile quarterbacks kind of like don't target the running backs as much because they're more likely to take off and run with it. Phillip Rivers is the exact opposite of that because that guy cannot run.
He's got cement shoes, man. That guy's running with cinder blocks as shoes.
But when you think about it, like if you think about all like the not mobile quarterbacks, like okay, Tom Brady, okay, James White, okay, Drew Brees, okay, Alvin Kamara. Like it kind of like adds up, and you're like, oh my god, like I never really like made that connection. I was thinking about it.
Baltimore, you have the running quarterback. Who do they hit out of the backfield as a running back position? Josh Allen, even last year, Devin Singletary, who I like quite a bit, it was driving me crazy because they weren't using him in the passing game.
So it's an interesting thing to think about, and I think the biggest one is Duke Johnson, who I'm always like waiting to finally like emerge into something. But then with Houston, Deshaun Watson just rushes the ball and then they give it to Carlos Hyde. So it's like it's super frustrating. But so Nyheim Hines he also finds himself and so Nyheim Hines as a running back himself is a good player. He's really dynamic. He is very good in the open field. He's a good kick returner, punt returner. That's what he was good at in college. And if you look at actually his cumulative stats over the past 2 seasons, so he has over 100 catches and 745 receiving yards. So if we look at those numbers just all time at the running back position, only 30 running backs in the history of the NFL have had at least 100 receptions and 745 receiving yards in their first 2 seasons combined. And the names of the most recent guys, some of the guys that currently in the NFL that have done it, is a pretty impressive list of guys that have all been really good PPR backs. So Devontae Freeman, Duke Johnson, David Johnson, LaShawn McCoy, Tariq Cohen, Le'Veon Bell, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, and Christian McCaffrey. That's it for really the more recent guys. And all those guys have at one point or another been pretty fantasy relevant. And this is just their 2 first seasons. So Nyheim Hines is really someone that I think, especially with the fact that the Colts don't have a lot of really weapons. T.Y. Hilton's kind of getting older. Marlon Mack, they haven't really shown a lot of commitment to, and they just don't really throw him the ball.
You're right. Because when I wrote down the list here, of course, so I kind of have known and I pulled up the stats for these guys. And before you started talking, I was kind of thinking, Hines, because I haven't been that high on, but exactly what you just said. Mac, they don't commit to him at the passing game at all, which I look at him as, when I watch these games, I'm thinking, Marlon Mack can go out and catch. But Marlon Mack last year, he was injured, right? So 12 starts, 247 yards, great volume, 1,091 yards, 8 touchdowns for him when he played. 17 targets. The year before, when he kind of broke out, 10 starts, 195 carries, 908 yards. So in the last 2 years, he's gone for 4.7 and 4.4 yards per carry with volume, Marlon Mack. So very good as a running back. But again, last year, 26 targets, 17 receptions. So he hasn't caught more than, 17 passes outside of his rookie season where he caught 21 when he was just kind of like and also ran in that offense. So very interesting. So are you thinking that that Indianapolis will start to kind of use him more like an Eckler? Like, maybe they'll line him up in the slot every now and then, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think they're really going to have to kind of just force to look at their roster and be like, hey, we need more weapons, and they're not going to. The rumors have been that they're not bringing back Eric Ebron, and I've done a lot of studies. I've found that there's usually like a tight end running back kind of correlation with in terms of like receptions and volume, and the fact that when there's no tight end of consequence, you see more running back targets. And I mean, Hunter Henry missed a lot of games last year.
Right.
Austin Eckler. Those things don't, and the same thing with Alvin Kamara. We didn't see as many touchdowns with him because, hey, look who was there, Jared Cook. Like, Jared Cook had a career-high touchdowns, 9 touchdowns. So Eric Ebron's gone, and that only leaves Jack Doyle. And even if they draft somebody, there's really not that many free agents. I mean, they could bring in Austin Hooper. I don't know what's going to happen there, but Jack Doyle, like, I mean, I'm going to probably take the skills of Nyheim Hines. And Nyheim Hines is literally not going to be drafted. Like, he's like, unless something significant happens where they're like, hey, we're going to make it Nyheim's. But I don't see them coming out and saying that. I think that by just the way that their offense is set up, I mean, who's their best receiver outside of Hilton? They have Devin Funchess, who was hurt all last year. They have Paris Campbell, a rookie that didn't do much. He got hurt last year. So outside of Hilton, who also got hurt last year, like, they don't really have that many weapons, and he's a guy that can flex out as a receiver.
Yeah.
You can jet sweeps. So I think he's just someone that you really want to keep an eye on. It's like, hey, if this guy finds himself in a world where he's getting 10 to 15 touches a game, like, that could be worth something, especially, you know, let's say Mac gets hurt and like, hey, we're just going to give Hines some run behind that O-line. Damn. That could be big.
I was prepared to argue against you, but you've convinced me. You've convinced me. Seriously, like, and I would, you know, I'm not just being nice or anything. I would have argued against that because I like Mac, and I still do. Look at the numbers, but yeah, especially if a guy like Rivers goes there, and Brissett needs some help. And last year, like you said, I mean, the holes in this team were pretty bad. Like T.Y. Hilton. It was similar to a lot of. It was kind of weird. Last year was the year of good wide receiver 1, awful wide receiver 2 for a number of teams. I'll throw outside of Will Fuller when he's healthy because he never is. You got Houston, you got New Orleans, you got Green Bay that fit that mold. You could argue New England outside of Edelman, but you know I would say Edelman's a slot guy and they need some over. You know, basically. But what I'm saying is there are a lot of teams last year who were like, geez, can you just find one guy in this day and age to just blow the top off the defense? And meanwhile, you got like a team like Cincinnati who's got like 2 or 3 people that can do it, but they don't have anybody who can throw on the ball. It was a weird year last year, weird year. But I'm on you, man. I think that's a really nice observation. And if, to your point, and by the way, what's his face? Frank Reich. He was an offensive coordinator in San Diego with LaDainian Tomlinson, but he was also the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia. What do we know about the Eagles? They like to use like 7 running backs in a given year, just really if for no other reason than to screw over fantasy owners that drafts the Philadelphia Eagles running back. Stay away from Miles Sanders this year, by the way. At least in the early rounds. I think he'll have value. But anyway, yeah, I think Reich wants to utilize more running backs. And this could be a very interesting role. I like that. I like that tip, man. I like that tip. You're making me better. You're making me a better person.
That's the point. That's the one that should get the people thinking.